Well, Barry, we appreciate the opportunity to be a sponsor of this excellent event, and I certainly appreciate the opportunity to moderate this panel. Although in the future, if I do this again, I may renegotiate my slotting. When I heard that the agenda came out and I was following the first president of the United States, I said, well, I better be very well prepped. We are fortunate today to have three executives. We heard the earlier presentation. You got sort of a macro picture of what's going on in the state. And now we have the opportunity to hear from three executives who are on the front lines to talk more about what's going on day to day in businesses. And they're very different businesses, very different industries. Now, the game plan for this session is I'm going to give introductions, brief introductions. You've got the full bios in your materials of each of the three panelists we have. They're going to each come up and talk to you for 8 to 10 minutes. And then we're going to move over into this very relaxed and casual atmosphere and have a Q&A session to talk in some more detail about some issues that are confronting the companies. And dovetailing to our earlier very excellent report this morning, we want to get into some issues such as, how does the skills of our workforce match up with what our employers need? What is the environment for startup companies? How do we keep our big companies and attract new companies? What do we do? How do we address the cutbacks in federal spending, particularly DoD spending? And fortunately, we have people on our panel today that are able to address those issues. So let me introduce our panelists to you. To my immediate left is Sean Boyer. Sean founded Snagajob 15 years ago and grew it to be America's largest hourly employment network for job seekers and employers. Headquartered in Richmond, it has been named to Fortune magazine's Best Places to Work for 8 consecutive years and Deloitte's Technology Fast 500 list for 5 years. Sean's also recently introduced 2 new ventures. One is called Die Happy, a tool with a mission to help you live a happy life, and Gazelle, which provides consulting services and tools for entrepreneurs. Next is Susie Kelly. Susie is the CEO of Jokel Inc., an electrical distributor and solutions provider headquartered in Chesapeake, Virginia. Jokel has been named one of the fastest growing companies and top entrepreneurial companies in America by Inc. 5000 for 4 consecutive years. Jokel was recently recognized as Supplier of the Year by Northrop Grumman. For the past several years, Susie has been included in the power list of the top 75 people who shape and influence Hampton Roads. Susie was elected to Chesapeake City Council in 2010 and is now serving her 2nd term in office. She currently serves on the Virginia Chamber of Commerce Executive Board. And then to my far left is Steve Voorhees. Steve is the CEO of WestRock Company and served as CEO of Rock 10 prior to its merger with MeadWestvaco. He previously served in numerous executive leadership roles with Rock 10, including President and Chief Operating Officer, Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer, and Chief Administrative Officer. He received his MBA from the Darden School at the University of Virginia. So, Sean, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, great. Thanks, Woody, and good morning. Glad to be here. To Woody's point, I got to run out of here, call my mom and dad, and tell them I not only got to be on stage with Woody, but also with the first president of the United States and then later senator, so it would be like their most proud moment. So anyway, thank you again to Barry and the whole chamber staff for putting on this fantastic event. Very honored to be here and be able to be part of the panel discussion. And so what I was going to do is just give a quick overview on Snagajob, which, to Woody's point earlier, we founded about 15 years ago. And then also take a little bit of time to talk about a new venture that I'm working on that he also mentioned called Die Happy. So, kicking it off, Snagajob. So, as we said a second ago, Snagajob is America's largest employment network that's connecting hourly job seekers and employers. And basically what we do is we start off with helping job seekers find those jobs, and then we help those employers them assess those candidates. We help them then get them onboarded. We have a whole suite of training modules, et cetera. So we've really evolved the suite of tools over the last 15 years from how we initially started. When we initially started, we are here in Williamsburg, actually. I was in DC prior to that. I was an attorney. And for me, I knew I was never going to make it as an attorney after a couple of years, so I had the idea for Snagajob and didn't want to be in DC any longer, so moved to Williamsburg. After about a year, we then relocated to Richmond, and now we have our headquarters there. We also have an office up in Arlington, Virginia. So a couple quick things on Snagajob. and several accolades, and probably the one of which I'm the most proud is the fact that we have been ranked on that Great Place to Work list for 8 of the last 8 years. And in 2011, we actually won it for the small company category for the entire United States. So even though we're out trying to connect employers with hourly job seekers, the staff that we're hiring internally is full of salaried level knowledge workers, a lot of technology positions. And so we're out trying to attract talent to come work with us, for us, from all over the country, whether it's Boston or Austin or California or other tech hotbeds. And so we really wanted to be able to establish this great place for them to come to work to lure them here. On the job seeker side and on the employer side, we now have over 1 million active job openings on the site. We work with 50,000 plus companies all across the country. We have 70 million registered members now on the site. So just to provide some context, it took us our first 4 years to get to the first 1 million people. And trust me, those first couple of weeks when we launched the site, I would sit there and look at the computer screen and just see, well, one person register. And somebody had registered, like, wow, they actually look like they're pretty smart. And I was so proud that they would actually register. So now we're registering 1 million new people every month, and 1 in 3 hourly job seekers use us whenever they're now looking for an hourly job. A big transition for us, and probably not unlike what a lot of you have seen in your businesses, is this huge shift to mobile. And so we now have 70% of the use of our services coming through mobile devices. If you go back 3-4 years ago, it was literally less than 10%. And because of that, now we've been able to be ranked as one of the top 10 free productivity apps in both the Google Store and in the Apple Store. So very pleased about that, and again, very big focus for us. Which provides then a nice segue into a new venture I'm working on called Die Happy. And it is an app, initially at least. And people ask me all the time, they're like, Die Happy, man, that sounds kind of morbid. I don't know how y'all's reaction was to it, but at least it gets people to ask, what in the world is it, right? Which is the first part. And probably the easiest way for me to tee this up is just to recite what the vision of the company is. And that is to be the brand that has helped hundreds of millions of people across the world to live happier lives over the next 10 years. So huge vision. Obviously, I have no idea whether we're going to attain that or not. But I figure if you don't cast a big vision, you have no chance of ever attaining anything really big. So we cast that out there. And the two things I'd harp on, one is the brand, and that we do want to be able to launch multiple different products, the first one of which, again, is an iOS app. And the second part is happier lives. So it's not just about the morbidity of dying happy, but it's about living your life fully now. So living that balanced life, living this life that you're super excited about. So as you look both backward and forward, you're very excited about that. And people will ask, they're like, all right, well, so what's so big about being happy, right? I mean, it's just this emotion that you feel, and it's just kind of soft, squishy. But there's actually a lot of research that's been done on why it is so important to be happy. So a lot of which points towards a more productive workforce. First point being, demonstrate more ingenuity in their thinking. They're more productive in their jobs. They're better leaders and negotiators. Earn more money. Who doesn't want to earn more money, right? But then it also goes to the personal side. They have healthier marriages and richer networks of friends, more resilient in the face of hardship, physically healthier, and the ever-elusive Ponce de Leon fountain of youth. They even live longer. Our boy, General Washington from earlier must have been one happy guy. So anyway, there's a lot of data around why it is so important to be happy. So if it is so important to be happy, then how do you actually do that in a very practical way? Science also points to the fact that there's a 100% happiness continuum. Okay, 50% of it we're just born with. We're wired that way. So earlier in Chip's presentation, when there's the bar graph and you either looked at the top half or the bottom half, some of you are up at that 50% point where you looked at the top part, others of you are down towards the bottom. Those are the actuaries. No, I'm just kidding. But 10% is a function of our circumstances. It's okay, I'm going through divorce, I went through bankruptcy, one of my kids is sick, whatever it might be. 40% of it, though, is directly within our control. And what that science also points to is for that 40%, the best predictor of that is the relationship with friends and family that you have, not the 400 plus Facebook friends, but literally like the 10 to 30 people you really want to buy a birthday gift for, and you really want to be around, and the most important aspects of life to you. And so first part here is, for many people, and again, I'd love to see a show of hands, they're not nearly as intentional about those aspects of life and those people is what they are about work, right? I mean, at work, we have our business plan. That cascades into the operating plan for the year and, this whole series of objectives and so forth. There's a dashboard. You've then got financial tracking software. You've got, again, CRM tools and so forth. In our personal life, we don't have it. Again, even though for a lot of or basically everybody we talk to, their friends and family, their close friends and family are more important to them than that. So with Die Happy, what we're attempting to do is help people focus on those people and those aspects of life that are most important to them. So I just did this one last little thing here where Elizabeth is kind of the persona of our target audience. She's a working mom, 45 years old, 2 kids. And right now, her schedule basically controls her work schedule. And she just feels like she's going 100 miles an hour. So what we want to have happen is that through using this, she's able to find cool things to do with her family and get it on the family calendar and make sure everybody knows about it. And then as she goes and does these things, what Elizabeth tells us is that, I capture these moments, but then I just sit on my camera roll. And I don't want to put all this stuff out on Facebook. I end up just texting it to my parents or the grandparents of the kids, but then it just sits on their messages app. So allow her to quickly capture and categorize all those moments. Love how easy it is to share only with the people who I really want to see them, not the 7th grade guy you had science class with who makes creepy comments about your daughter's birthday party. And then relive it, right? So you captured these moments because you wanted to go back and enjoy them later, but how oftentimes do we ever go back and actually enjoy them? And not that often for most people. And similarly with those people with whom you shared those moments, again, they sit on their messages app and they don't get to see them again. And so it's helping people create that life story of these really fun, cool things that they did, the things they really care about, and getting it back in front of them consistently so that they can have that impetus to go do it again, right? It's that wintergreen trip that I took with the kids, and here's that photo back in front of me. It's like, yeah, I want to go do that again. Or, my brother who I haven't talked to in 3 months, right? I need to give him a call. I need to schedule some kind of family get-together again. So that's what we're trying to do there. I'd say when I left Snagajob a couple of years ago and have really started to focus on this over the last year, one of our biggest investors, our biggest investor at Snagajob, was a VC firm, prominent VC firm out of Silicon Valley. And you get people all the time saying, well, go out to California, or go to Boston, go to Austin. And so, I thought about it this next time. I mean, it was hard to take and move Snagajob from here to there. But as I thought about where do I want to start the next thing, I wanted to start it here. And we're starting to get in Richmond. And one of the reasons why is the quality of life. And again, you've got the mountains, you've got the ocean, you've got the rivers, you've got the arts and so forth. I mean, Richmond just came back as the Travel and Leisure #3 trip destination in the world for 2016. And so there's a lot of cool stuff that's going on here. And what we found, again, going back to when we're trying to recruit talent from these other places, especially the software talent, and we tend to hire a lot of people that are in their 20s and 30s, they very much value that quality of life piece. They love it. And a lot of people talk about it as kind of the Boulder of the East Coast. So the quality of life, and again, the talent piece ends up being key. And to me, if you draw a 3-hour circle radius around the state of Virginia, what other place in the country has as many top universities as what we do? I'd put it up against anybody. And again, I mean, state of Virginia obviously has phenomenal universities, and then you take and you extend it to that 3-hour radius circle. And when you can go and you can be recruiting those people right out of college, and they experience what it's like to live here, they don't want to leave and go someplace else. Same way as when most people relocate here from someplace else and realize, man, this is awesome. I don't want to go anyplace else. And so for us, that was the reason why we decided to stay here in Virginia as we attempt to go build this next company. So that's it for me. I think, Susie, you're up.
Thank you. Let's see if this works. How we doing? Well, Sean, your presentation reminded me of something. I've been a runner for about 35 years. And people used to tell me when I was younger, they go, Susie, you're just going to live forever. I would tell them, well, you know what? I may not live forever, but I'm determined to die healthy. So maybe that will be the next generation of your company, okay? So now we're going to transition to JoCal Incorporated. I don't know if this is going to be quite as exciting as Sean's presentation, but I'll try to make it clear anyway. Who is JoCal? Well, let's find out for a minute. We are a military, commercial, marine, and industrial engineering company. We sell electrical equipment, and we do engineering as well. And you can see our marketplaces, the Navy, commercial, marine, and again, high-tech industrial. So I thought, well, what do we do that's so unique? Well, our company solves problems and sells solutions. I thought, wow, this is going to be great for this crowd. And then I got to thinking, well, not so much, because probably every one of you in here solve problems, and you do it and you make money doing it. So if you're a banker, if you're a lawyer, if you're a doctor, if you're a small business owner, you're doing the same thing I'm doing, right? So I'm thinking, what makes us unique? I'm thinking, well, you know, really the community that we sell to, our customers, we're a little. So I want to give you a little perspective. We started our business in 1977. It was started by Joe Kelly. And this was high technology back then. This is how he started the company. For those of you in the younger generation, that's a telephone on the left-hand side. And next to that is his computer, which is a notepad. And he started it with $5,000 in capital. So this is how he started the business. But the interesting thing about it is, Joe Kelly was a retired Navy, and he realized that Navy purchasing agents had a very difficult time finding some of their shipboard electrical equipment. It was very difficult to do. There were no computers, at least for businesses back then. And so he decided that he would go into business and find these hard to find items. So Joe Kelly was actually the human internet back then. That's right. He didn't invent it like some other people did, but he was the human internet. People would go to him when they had something that they couldn't find and they wanted to find it. So that's how our business was started. And then we grew in our expertise in Navy shipboard electrical equipment. And yes, that's me flying onto an aircraft carrier. So I was testing out our equipment, and it obviously worked because I'm here today. But we specialize in Navy shipboard electrical equipment. And this is probably how we are known, not only really throughout the whole country. For those of you who are from north of Grumman, if you're in here, you'll recognize this photo right here. This is an aircraft carrier. It's 90,000 tons of diplomacy is what they call it. And it's beautiful. And this is where our field of expertise is. We supply the electrical equipment that goes on board many of the aircraft carriers and submarines. Back in the 80s, though, a wise man who was a friend of ours said, you know what, you have to diversify. We've heard that word once or twice before this morning. What happens if, federal funding goes away and you can no longer supply this equipment? And we thought, well, what the heck are we going to do? He said, but there's a gap. Nobody's doing high-tech industrial automation. And we're like, okay, neither are we. But there weren't that many companies, so we started exploring that. And that became our second area of expertise. Over the years, we learned how to engineer these panels, and now we design and build electrical panels for any kind of, anything that moves. If you want to control an elevator or a pump or whatever it is, we can design a panel to do that. So that was our other area that's become our area of expertise. We're going to talk a little bit about innovation. We encourage our staff to be innovative. And they become innovative by listening to their customers. Their customers tell them what they need, and we try to respond. That is what we kind of all do in business, don't we? We try to respond to all of our customers' needs. I want to show you one in particular. It's our customers had a need for ship-to-shore power cables, and the delivery time was taking way too long because they're all custom-made. And we looked at these things and we said, well, we can do that. So we had a couple of staff members take a look at it, look at the specs, and we started going into the business of ship-to-shore cable connectors, and we would assemble them, and we'll assemble them to meet the specs of our customers, and we can turn this around quite quickly. And we've been doing this for about 20, 25 years now, and we've also expanded it to the commercial marketplace and also the marine. So these are basically long extension cords that plug a ship into shore power. And if you've ever been on a Navy pier, you've had to walk over these things. So you've seen these before. That's one example of how our staff is very innovative at work. They take something that our customer needs and they try to solve their problems. So let me get more into the technology end of things. We were high tech even back when Joe Kelly started the company. I mean, you saw the phone, right? We probably were one of the first companies to have a fax machine. And we were one of the only ones because the only person that we could fax to was a manufacturer they called ITE Gould back then. And they had us get one, and it's the only person we could fax to because that's the only person that had the other fax machine in the world. So we've come a long way since then. Right now, our company really tries to be on the cutting edge of technology. We have an ERP system, a CRM system that's all integrated. Our salespeople can get real-time data on the fly anytime, 24/7. So when they're out visiting customers, they can find out what orders the customers have that haven't been delivered, what orders or quotes that are still outstanding, maybe even what quotes we have not, what orders we've lost. So they have that 24/7 right at their fingertips. We have video teleconferencing, which many of you probably do too, but when you have remote locations like we do, we have an office in Jacksonville, Florida, and one in Richmond, we can tie all of our employees in together in any meeting, and we all feel like one big happy family, or at least one big family. And we also have, well, we're happy. We're happy. Sean, we're happy. You know, some of the other technologies we have, a voice over IP phone system. We have a paperless office, and if you do anything with the government, if you say you're paperless, that is a miracle. Our office isn't completely paperless, but we're on our way there. Of course, we have smartphones and iPads for our sales folk, and we use Hoovers to help us gain database in the different marketplaces that we want to pursue. So now I'm going to get into some math, and my folks at ODU will be very happy about this. All right, I want to tell you a little bit more about our company. We have revenue of we're projecting about $50 million in revenue this year. We have 60 employees approximately. So if you take revenue and you divide it by the number of employees, you get mega efficiency. We have $833,000 per employee is our revenue per employee. That's about double what it is in our industry. So we are a very efficient and very tight organization. But now I get to the fun stuff, the success factors. This is what I really love. We are all about connecting with others. We are all about relationships. We are all about the human touch. In everything we do, from everything we've done throughout the history of our company, it's all been about developing relationships. We try to create raving fans, not just satisfied customers, but raving fans. And we do this through our relationships. Even with our leadership at our company, we look at every single employee and we see what their talents are, and we try to develop them into what they could, you know, their full potential. We do this through coaching. We talk to them, and we look at the opportunities within our organization that we can have them grow to. Our culture, we have a very giving culture. We are continually looking at ways to give to others. Last month, we just completed a 6-week food drive, and we contributed over 6,000 pounds of food to our local food bank. And that's with a 60-person company, 6,000 pounds of food, and we do this every year. And we can do this because we do it and we have fun activities that kind of inspire people to donate food. So it would take another event for me to go over all that with you all, but note that we do have a great time at our company, and we do build relationships with our employees and with our customers. And finally, marketing our brand. Now, as many of you may know this symbol, it's, if you look at any wiring diagrams, that is a symbol of, it's an international symbol of a resistor, which is part of a wiring diagram. Anyway, and so one of our latest branding is the Jokel team is simply irresistible. And we try to, you guys are going to all want one of these t-shirts. This is going to be another market segment for me, I guarantee you. But we try to put a lot of emphasis, even in the tough times when we don't get a lot of defense spending, we look at ways to market our business. What can we do different? What do our customers need, and how can we respond to that need? And then again, we use our marketing team. We have a great marketing department, and for a small business like ours to even have a marketing department is amazing. But we look at, and we build relationships. It's all about the human touch for us. It's all about reaching out to our customers and reaching out to our employees, and that's where I think we've gained our success. In fact, this year we have, we have these big diamonds. I'm watching this one very carefully. It's called Brilliance. And when our employees do something that is really remarkable and really brilliant, we recognize them, and this goes a long way. So this year we're doing the Brilliance. But anyway, that's it. That's Jokel in a nutshell. And I'm so happy that I'm delighted to be here and talk to you about our company. Thank you.
I'm Steve Voorhees. I work at WestRock. Thanks for the opportunity to come. It's a great audience. I'm going to talk about WestRock in general and WestRock specifically in Virginia. This is a picture of our mill in West Point. I saw Chris Broom, but I don't know where he's sitting. Where is Chris Broom? Okay, Chris Broom's in the back. He leads that mill for us and does a fantastic job. It actually used to be our largest revenue facility until we did the merger, and now it's Covington, Virginia, which we'll talk about in a second. I've got some of my colleagues with me today. I want to introduce them. Bob Beckler, I'm looking at in the fourth row, leads our packaging solutions business. He's sitting next to Kevin Clark, leads our home health and beauty business. Chris Brescia is with our government affairs. Where's Tucker? There's Tucker McNeil, Director of Corporate Communications. I'll do a great job. Got to recognize Ned Massey, who worked for a company for a long period of time. We're still connected to him. Much appreciate what he's done for the company in the state of Virginia over a long period of time. We merged. We became WestRock. We're very customer-oriented, so we have an aspiration to be the premier partner, unrivaled provider of paper and packaging solutions in consumer and corrugated markets. I'm going to get more specific about what that means. We organize our business in corrugated and consumer packaging. We operate, about 80% of our business is in North America, about 20% is outside of North America, and there's some statistics on us. If you are really interested in this, we're a publicly held company. You can learn everything that you would want to know and probably more on our website. I'm not going to dwell on that. I'll talk more about what we do. This is a merger is a unique opportunity to assess of who you are and the name WestRock. We hired a you may think this is maybe not the most efficient thing to do, but we hired a brand consultant to help come up with a name. I agreed with John Luke we would come up with a new name. That if we picked either name, it really would not reflect the really creating a new company. We came up with a bunch of new names, but more importantly, in the course of branding, you develop what is a theme, and the theme that resonated throughout our company was winning together. And that is expressed in the name because together we took West from MeadWestvaco, Rock from Rockton. It was a combination together. And so that just, it was had to go through work to get there, but I think if we would have just picked the name, we wouldn't have known why. And then the logo, there's a shape and there's 5 layers to the logo. And each layer is a constituent of our company. So investors, employees, customers, and communities, and suppliers. And so we view ourselves as winning together with the constituencies we work with every day. And the splash of orange in the middle is both interesting from a design standpoint, but it's really important from a safety standpoint. We have 41,000 employees. They work in very difficult environments. And if you're not careful, you can get hurt. And I just cringe when we go through every month the injuries that we have. And safety is of paramount importance. And safety is the color of safety is orange. So that's where that comes from. This is what we make boxes and corrugated boxes, sprayers, consumer packaging, corrugated packaging. Now point out, if anybody eats Chinese food, we make tens of millions of dollars worth of these fold pack things. Okay, so that is, we have Simple Green. I brought a product sample. Okay, I don't think we have much to clean here, so I'm just going to put this back here. If anybody has anything they need to clean, then it will be available. We make hundreds of millions of dollars worth of pizza boxes. And every customer is our favorite customer, so we didn't pick any of the brand name. So this is, actually that is a Pizza Hut box if you look at it. We make a bunch of banana boxes. Make craft linerboard, which is made from trees, export it to Latin America. It comes back with bananas in it. The Mixtail, the Firewalker, this was an award winner at the Paperboard Packaging Council. It is designed to try and promote the product. The product there is Firewalker. If you look for it in the store, it will help achieve the objective of the design of, if you buy it, that'll be even better. And then we're in the display business, and Newell Rubbermaid's a customer, and the Sharpie on display won an award for being one of the best displays of the year. So that is what we do. It shows up. I wanted to bring some product samples. This is my favorite product sample. So this is a box, right? And if you think about a box, you might not think about a box that much, but it is an incredible product because it is light. I'm going to toss this to you, Barry, and you're going to, I'm going to wait a second here. I will give you a warning before I toss it. Okay, but this is, most of the boxes you get from Amazon will be brown. And if you look at the bottom of the box, if it's shipped in interstate commerce, it needs a little cert certificate here. I'll have who made the box and where the box was made. And then this is a Minions box. And I actually am a fan of Minions. And the movie came out on July 10th. And so we worked with Universal Studios to help promote their product. Okay, so whatever, and you didn't have to buy a Minions thing to get a Minions box. I'm just going to toss this to you. Are you ready? We're going to see if we can do this. Okay, so light, stable. Okay, we also make products for Red Bull. Okay, so I won't throw this at you. Okay, so. Okay, now we also have a dispensing business, Home Health and Beauty, that Kevin leads for us. And I brought a product sample. This is in a folding carton. We make the folding carton, but if you open this up, there's a nice, so we make the thing. Now, I was thinking about what to do with this, and we have a gentleman who may have a issue tonight. And so I thought this is a $60 value. So Rob, I thought I would give this to you, okay? Now, I don't know if this is going to work or not. That may or may not work. You might say, where did I get this? Did I like find this in the place I shouldn't have found it? And so this is another product we make, which is a high-value product. This is anti-aging, fragrance-free moisturizer with sunscreen, which you may need, or you may be able to, so I'm going to give this to you too, okay? So we try to respond to the needs of our customers, identify needs, and meet their needs, and that's what we try to do. So that's what we make. So I think everybody in here probably buys something on Amazon, eats Chinese food, pizza box. I would thank everybody for the business that you have. We don't brand our products. We're really working for our customers, but thank you for buying boxes from us. Okay, now we operate 275 facilities around the world, and Virginia is the highest area that we do business in. So I've got some stats up here. We have a $2 billion business in Virginia, and we're here. Okay, so the West Point Mill is here. It's been here for 100 years. Expect it to be here for 100 years more. We have a box plant in Richmond. We've invested about $10 million in capital over the past 2 years. It's a very profitable plant. It is near the airport. I come to Richmond very often. I have surprised the people. If I'm riding with somebody, I'll drop in, and I feel like I can do that because I know the people. Sometimes they get concerned about the CEO dropping in, but they do well. We have a mill in Hopewell, Virginia. We invested about $150 million in 2 or 3 years ago to recapitalize the mill. In Martinsville, we have an assembly facility that will put together displays, such as the Sharpie display. And Richmond's the center of our consumer packaging business. It is the center of our home health, including our home health and beauty business. We have a great innovation platform there, entire floor devoted to innovation, and we've attracted many very talented people to Richmond. West Point 100th anniversary was May of 2014. This is Chris with the mayor of West Point. I was there. There's some incredible stories of the mill is there, the city is there because of the mill. And I met somebody who's had been working there for, I think, 40 years, and his dad had worked there for 40 years, and his dad had worked there for 40 years, starting in 1916. And I think his son was an intern at the time. And so we are part of the fabric of the communities that we operate in. And so that's West Point. Covington, started in 1900, is the world's largest integrated bleached paperboard mill. Bleached paperboard is make a pharmaceutical box from it, for example. It is an incredible facility, and we invested over the past couple of years over $200 million putting a biomass boiler in, which helps environmentally and helps reduce our cost as well. So that is operate a number of facilities in Virginia. As I said, is the largest single, I don't know whether I should say state, it's definitely the largest commonwealth, but that doesn't mean very much. It is the largest state that we operate in. So it's $2 billion. We spend $600 million with Virginia suppliers, and I would invite, if you're a potential supplier to us, we do want to connect to the company. Do not be bashful about sending me an email or contacting any of us about if you think you're not doing business with us, you think you could be doing business with us, let us know. We employ about 3,500 people as our largest single state that we employ, generate $290 million of payroll, and we pay almost $20 million in property taxes. So we're in the state, we enjoy being in the state, we're part of the community, and I'm over time by a minute and 30 seconds, and I'm gonna run another minute over. So, this is our office in Richmond, and I think everybody knows there's a bike race, and we're in the business of building wraps, and so we put this on the side of the building, and this is we didn't put the time-lapse. There's a time-lapse photo. We didn't put the time-lapse photo in, but there was a time-lapse photo, which is really cool. So I'm going to finish a minute early because it's not going to. But anyway, we were delighted to do this and I thought it was pretty fun. I've walked by it and had people taking pictures. So anyway, thank you very much for having me. It's great to be involved here in the state of Virginia. Love being in the state of Virginia. We'll be here for a long time. Okay.
We're going to take just 1 minute to move the podium, and then we'll start in the question and answer session.
Can we give you a hand with this?
You just slide it back. Let's just move it back. Yeah. There you go. That's good enough. All right, well, one of the first things we heard in the report this morning was what we're looking forward to in the future in regards to growth, particularly business GDP growth in Virginia. Steve, let me start with you. What do you see as the prospects for growth going forward in the next year or two?
I think the U.S. economy is in very good shape. It has been growing. I think it has been growing, not as much as everybody would like, but relative to a lot of economies, it's a very I think, vibrant place. I love hearing the stories of Sean and Susie about their businesses. I think small business is a big part of the growth, and we have the ability to grow. I think either large companies or small companies, but I view smaller companies being the engine of growth, and we have an environment in the United States that supports that. So I'm very optimistic about the potential for the U.S. economy.
Susie, you are in the field of government contracting, and we know, and I know you do a lot of work with the Department of Defense, so you may have a little different perspective on this. What do you see the prospects as being?
Well, actually, this is the first time the Department of Defense has passed a defense appropriations bill in quite a number of years. So we're hopeful that that defense spending will be a little bit more productive in our state and in our region. So we're optimistic. We're looking probably, our company's looking for about a 10% growth over next year. It could be more depending on how those dollars seep into the shipbuilding industry.
How did you adjust when the spending went down to keep the business vibrant?
Well, you know, that's where small businesses have to be really adaptable and flexible. We really focused on beefing up our industrial marketplace. So our salespeople are very adept at doing this. And so we really went out and sold the industrial side of our business while we continue to grow our marine marketplace and our military sales as well. You know, when you're small, you can do a lot of things that I think you have the advantage of doing things that maybe a larger business can't do. But we look and we are on the ground, we're like boots on the ground. Our salespeople are like boots on the ground, and they know what the temperature is out there and they know how to adapt to a difficult climate. So, you know, you saw with the innovations that we do. We'll come up with different innovations.
How about you, Sean?
Yeah, for us, you know, with the unemployment rate having come down, you know, compared to, you know, being 10+%, you know, 4 years ago to being, you know, 5% now, we've seen a significant increase in hiring from the employers that we're working with, and it really goes across the board from the larger enterprise accounts that are up 30% in terms of the amount of hiring they're doing through us year over year. In the small business category, those are up 50% year over year, and it's not, I'd like to say it's because we're just doing a much better job. I don't know that it's that. I think it's just that, you know, they're hiring at such a much greater rate. One of the things we really look at is that application to posting ratio, and we've seen that come down where, you know, it's to the employer's disadvantage in a way, but to the job seeker's advantage. So anyway, it's, I think all things for us at least point to, you know, pretty bright next couple of years.
I know everybody mentioned innovation at one time or another in your presentations. How big a part does innovation play in your business strategy, Susie?
Well, you know, we are constantly looking at ways to serve our customers because our customers' demands change very quickly. Again, you know, back in the late 80s, nobody knew what automation was. I mean, really the products were just coming out to, you know, the sensors and the drives and things like that. So the technology was just coming out. So now we're putting it all together. So we're continually looking at the needs on the manufacturing floor, and we go out there and we see what the folks need, and we adapt and we build the controls and we build the things that our customers are looking for. Innovation is very key. Having the right people in your organization that can recognize that is ultimately very key too. And so having the right staff and with the eyes that can see where growth is possible is really key to our organization.
Steve, with 31,000 employees, how do you drive innovation?
Innovation is everywhere in our business. You might think a manufacturing company doesn't need to be innovation sensitive. In fact, it's exactly the opposite. We work primarily with people who are trying to sell their product and make more money. Many of our customers, because of the changing way we are buying things, mobile's a huge impact. If you go to the grocery store business, Whole Foods has a certain area of the market. Costco has another area of the market. If you're a traditional grocery store, you have to do things differently in order to survive, and that permeates our entire business. Now, so if we're going to sell something, we need to help them design that so it can help them sell more product. That is, we need to be very innovative and creative in order to be able to do that. I think that is somewhat, that is perhaps more obvious than the other ways. I think we're very innovative. Even if we're making the same product, we're in a very competitive business. It's a manufacturing business. If we're going to make money, we need to make it better, faster, cheaper than we did it the day before. So everything we do, we need to take cost out and be more productive. And we have very vibrant programs throughout our company to provide our employees the tools they need in order to do just that.
Do you have a innovation committee, or is innovation disseminated throughout the business?
Our innovation committee, I think, is our leadership team. And so we have, the way we've set it up in order for us to be successful, we have a core set of capabilities, which would be strategy, commercial excellence, operational excellence, innovation, and talent. And so innovation is one of our core capabilities. So we sit and we talk about it, and we devote the resources to be able to do it. The most explicit expression of the resources is we have a performance excellence program that uses Six Sigma as a primary tool. And so we've trained hundreds of people. And so the West Point Mill will have people who are trained in Six Sigma, and we have people literally crawling around our facilities to figure out how can we do things a little bit more efficiently today than we did yesterday.
I asked that question because at least 2 business consultants have told me, if you want to ensure that you will never have innovation, have an innovation committee.
Well, you know, Woody, to your point, I want to say our company would go into your facility, in a manufacturing facility, and we would look for ways to help him with his automation needs. So how can he get his product out quicker? And how can he get it out better? And how can he get it out more efficiently? So we could partner with you and get those things together. That's how small businesses work. Right. We help others become successful.
We're looking at another part of the earlier report, and that is that the number of small businesses is dropping off. And you know, Sean, you started one business, Snack-A-Job, and now you've got 2 others in the mix. What is the environment like in Virginia for startup companies?
I think there's a lot more focus on startups over the last, I'd say, 3 to 4 years than there was 15 years ago. Just in terms of the amount of focus there seems to be from the public sector, certainly in the space in which we operate from a technology perspective, there's a lot more support structure around it. It's a lot easier, frankly, to start a technology company, a software technology company, at least at this point. It's a lot cheaper to do. I mean, I'm amazed by just how cheap it is this time in comparison to the last time. And so, again, I was surprised to see those numbers because it seems like to me that startup community is very much thriving, not just where I am in Richmond, but it seems to be that way all up in DC. I spent a fair amount of time up there, and you've got 1776 up there where there's this premium focus on getting startups the support that they need. So yeah, I would have sensed that it would have been different than what the report indicated.
One of the things you see a lot, and this deals with both higher education and the businesses, is trying to find a match between the skills that our workforce has and the skills that you need in the businesses that you run. Have you found that to be, Susie, an issue in terms of being able to match up the skills with what you need?
Well, we, with our panel shop, we require skilled labor, and what we've done is we partnered with ECPI in our area, and actually they funnel people to us all the time and then we help develop them into the skill set that they need. That's for our, just our trade end of the end of our workplace. But that has been working. That partnership has been working. In addition, I know that the TCC, the Community College system in Virginia, is very strong in trying to do match the trades to companies in our Commonwealth. I know TCC is expanding with a STEM-H facility in Chesapeake. They've already have an automotive facility where they, train people into automotive technology. So partnering with these technical vocational centers is very important, and we have that in our region.
Steve, you're also on the demand side of this. What's your take?
It's a critical issue, I think, for all of us. And the state of Virginia, for us, is a very good source of qualified employees because of the educational system, and we get support for training as well. And it's, I think every job is a little bit different. I think once we bring people into our organization, we also want them to be able to advance their careers, so we invest in people as they join the organization to make sure we can match our needs with people who fit our company.
Sean, you've been on the supply side.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would just echo what both Susie and Steve said. Again, going back to that point of that, the university system here in this area is so superior, and for us, we don't yet have the depth of experience in software development and product like what exists in Austin or Boston or California, certainly. But what happens is, because you have such smart people who are coming here to school, is if you can get them as they're coming out of school and they're like sponges and you can train them, then they're hooked into your company, and to your point, you're able to develop them, and you then don't have the turnover rates like what you have in these other really hot tech markets where everybody's hopping jobs every year. And so we love that approach. It takes us a little bit longer to get people up the curve than if you would have hired somebody in who already had that experience. But in the long term, I think it's proven to be quite successful. So again, that educational system, I think, is just a huge advantage that we have.
Speaking of turnover, how have changes in the generational aspects of the workforce affected who you hire and how you hire? Steve?
Well, the generational differences are real.
Well, I got a 23-year-old and a 25-year-old. I know that they're real.
I think we focus on it and we talk about it. We had our leadership meeting with a lot of people there, and we had somebody speak to us about generational differences. A couple factoids that were eye-opening to me is half of our workforce will be millennials by 2020. And so there's really not a choice that you need to adapt, and their expectations are different. I think they not only want a job, they are always on, and they want flexibility over their schedule. And so it ends up being a challenge. Now, one thing we have done that has worked very well is we've put together a intern program, and so we'll hire a couple hundred interns each summer, distributed across our facilities. And we're a paper company, so we'll recruit from paper science schools, have them show up in the mills, and it's good for both of us because we will train them. They'll have the opportunity. We will give them real work, and then they will see us. A couple interesting things to me is the people who hire them embrace them, and they enjoy the opportunity to mentor the interns. And then we have give them an opportunity. We had about 80 in Richmond, I think in August, if I remember correctly, and we asked them to give a 3-minute presentation on the project they did, take a minute for questions, and have a minute for the next one to go. And I go to those, and I love them because I learn things about going on in the company that I would not otherwise know, and it helps me because oftentimes the problems that you have in the company exist. I mean, ultimately they exist it has to affect the customer or quality of the product, and that's where you can look at those situations and get somebody bright coming in and taking a fresh look at it. So we benefit, and then it gives us the opportunity to just see if there's a match. And so we're not making a long-term commitment to each other. We're making a commitment to try to make things work, and we've been very successful in hiring people long-term because of the intern program.
Susie, what's been your experience?
Ours isn't so much generational. We've made some changes in hiring due to regulations. And what we do now is we hire most of our employees through a temp agency. So both of us have kind of both the potential employee and our company. We have a dating period before we get married, which really has made sense. And because we're a government contractor, this has helped us a great deal because it avoids some problems that we could experience if the relationship doesn't work out so well. So we've used that tool in order to hire new people in our company.
Sean, you're a young guy like me. What have you seen?
Yeah, that's right. It amazes me when I see somebody work and they say, "Sir," call me Mr. Boyer. I'm like, what?
Look behind you to see who you're talking to.
Yeah, 70+% of our workforce at Snagajob is under 30. So they very much fit into that category. And I'd say, the one thing that sticks out the most to me is that they are very mission focused. And so I think, you know, we're very big on our purpose and what it is that is that bigger calling of what we're doing at Snagajob, and it's to put people into the right fit position so that they can maximize their potential and live more fulfilling lives. And people get really, really excited about the fact that when you're in the drudgery of what you're doing, that is the impact that you're making. So we make sure that we're then bringing forth these personal stories of people getting jobs through us and what impact that has had on their life. And that, I would say, seems to be the thing that that group gets the most excited about. I mean, certainly they love the flexible schedules, and you know, if you do something wrong that ticks them off, then there are 1,000 other people that know it within about 30 minutes, and so that has changed too. But that mission-focused piece, I would say, is probably the thing that sticks out the most to me that's unique. I don't know if that's that much different than, you know, a 55-year-old, but again, it certainly seems to stick out to me about that group. Excellent.
All right, in this panel format, what we have at the end, when we have 3 minutes and we're only 6 seconds off, we have the lightning round. And this is a question, there are 2 questions I'm going to ask, and you have 20 seconds or less to answer, okay? And same question to each of you. Sean, I'll start with you. If you were talking to a CEO who is considering relocating his company, what would you offer about Virginia as a reason to come here?
Yeah, I would just keep mine to 10 seconds. I go back to those points earlier. It's the quality of life, that overall quality of life, and it's the talent that's here, not just currently, but what's going to be coming in future years because of the educational system.
Susie?
Just to add to that, I would say, you know, the location, I mean, you can't ask for a better place, and we have it all here. We have the ocean, we have the mountains, we have, you know, recreation, you know, we have it all here in Virginia. And we do have the workforce coming out of the universities, coming out of ODU, coming out of UVA, William & Mary, and the like. So we do have great access to young people to work in your company.
Steve?
Yeah, I'd echo the quality of life, but I think more important for business, it's the quality of the resources available to do business. And I think the people are important. I think the culture is fantastic. And I think the role that the business community plays and the government plays is very pro-business and is, I see investments. I think most recently Governor McAuliffe put something out there yesterday. There's a lot of support in the state for business, and I think that makes it a very attractive location.
Okay, let's look at the flip side. If there's one thing that Virginia could do better to either assist business or attract business, what would it be?
We're going to start with me?
Start with you, Steve.
Yeah.
You know, I saw George Washington speak, and I'm going to reiterate what he said, which is be a participant, not a spectator. And I think Virginia has a lot of resources. One thing I think the state could do better is if everybody participated in trying to help promote the state, make it either their individual company, as we see here, or helping attract business to the state. I think that would make the state better. So that's what George Washington said.
You want everybody to act like an owner.
Exactly.
Susie?
Well, living in the largest cul-de-sac in the world in Hampton Roads, I would say transportation might be one of the biggest issues. You know, and I think that if we could, one of the things that was talked about for years, and I think we're moving in that direction, is connecting with the rest of the world, getting what we're doing in Chesapeake, Route 17, to connect to North Carolina and to Raleigh. I think that would be a big help to our port, would be a big help to the whole transportation system.
Excellent. Sean?
Yeah, I would say we were talking about, and I'll focus more on the emerging company side, is even though there is that more focus on startups and emerging companies, I'd love to see us do something in Virginia similar to what Governor Cuomo did up in New York, Western New York, where they established a program that was a $5 million program that was meant to attract startup companies to that Buffalo area. And they gave $1 million away, and this is each year, it's $5 million, $1 million away to the grand prize winner, and then either $500,000 or $250,000 to each of the other 10 finalists. And so, for instance, we had a company that relocated from Virginia up to Buffalo, and now they've got to be there for the next year, and they're going to get their arms wrapped around them by the support system that's there. And as you all know, once you start to hire a team there, and those people are from Buffalo, it's going to be really hard for those folks to relocate and come back to Virginia. I hope they do, but the chances of it are probably slim. And Buffalo is probably a really nice place to live in the summer, but it stinks in the winter. So going back to quality of life, I think we have a lot over Buffalo. So I'd love to see us do something really robust like what they did.
Okay, we're out of time, but I'd like everyone, please. Our panel has been great.
Good job.